All right. Well, we welcome everybody back to the next episode of the Horseman's Voice. I want to thank Jeff Corral for his time last week and all the publicity that he's garnered worldwide from his interview. We have another worldwide interview, but this time we had some consultants that we were going to work with in the UK and some people in DC, and due to privacy concerns, they've decided they want to keep it on the low. We also have a Midwestern person that we've been speaking with over the years, and that person would also just basically be on the low, and we respect these people, both consultants, lobbyists, and horse people. So, we have Amber back. Amber, you there?
I am.
All right. So, what type of publicity, I guess, were you garnering before you talked with us with the Horseman's Voice?
Basically, when I first started, before I talked to you, I was just looking local. Local newspapers, local TV. I contacted the newscast out of Madison, Wisconsin, and the local paper here in the county I live in southeast Wisconsin. I was just looking local. We did get a little bit of publicity from the United States Trotting Association, and then I found the Horseman's Voice, and I met you, Eric.
Okay, so like Amy Holler did some things for you, some people out east did some things to you. What other horsewomen can you give shout-outs to, or other horse people besides us?
Suzanne DeAmbros from New Jersey contacted me with the Harness Horse Youth Foundation, and I sent a copy of the book to them. And as soon as they're able, they are going to try to incorporate my book with some of their things that they do for Harness Horse Youth Foundation, hopefully this summer.
Okay.
Also, a shout-out to the Goshen Harness Racing Hall of Fame and Museum out in Goshen, New York. Janet, they are selling my book in their gift shop online right now until their store opens, and they're inviting me out personally to do a book signing over their 4th of July celebration in Goshen, New York. So I'll be there.
So it's literally like in our interview with Paul when the horse was pulling him. I mean, everything's starting to snowball. What do you see, I guess, moving forward with baby steps? You said something about the schools and getting in with education.
Yeah, we started a campaign last fall. My horse was in one of the parades in our hometown of Naval, Wisconsin, and after the parade was over, we brought him down to the park and set up a little paddock area for him, had some hay bales set up, and we did something called Reading with a Racehorse. It's a little campaign that I'm just starting, and hopefully we can expand it to some of the local schools, some of the local libraries. We'd like to visit some nursing homes, and I'm also invited to a 130th anniversary up in northern Wisconsin of their fair, and I'm also invited to a disabled place for those people to meet Derek as well.
Wow.
So we're hoping to educate people a little bit more about Derek and his history and harness racing in general.
So, there's the old saying, numbers talk and people lie. Do you see the numbers starting to increase as far as book sales, either through the publisher, Nico Publishing, locally there, or, are you able to put a finger on the Amazon or Walmart numbers?
Things have slowed down a little bit now that Christmas is over, but we didn't have a whole lot of publicity during Christmas. We weren't that geared up yet. I was kind of just learning how to do all this. So hopefully now that we're getting out there a little bit more nationally and worldwide, hopefully we can get some of the numbers up there and get some more sales. My goal this year is hopefully to sell 500 to 1,000 books.
Wow. So what are you at right now? I guess our signed copy, I think, was $418, if I wasn't mistaken. What do you think you're up to about now? About $450, $500?
About $450 that I sold myself, about another $150 on Amazon. So, that makes about $550, $600 books that we're at so far.
Let's revert back to our conversation. I was listening to it and, listening over and over and over again. You had mentioned that Derek Bromack N was one of two of these, I guess, old war horses. Do you remember what that other horse was? Because you had referenced it in our conversation. Because we have the answer.
I don't remember.
When we did the interview with Emily Hay, she was working with a gentleman that was helping with her horse, and I guess he has a horse based in Ohio, which is the horse that you were talking about. We didn't even know. We didn't even know. So moving forward, it's the information age, and we had a little, I guess, I call it an old school trade. You had said that you would send me an autographed copy. I said in return I would do a little $10 boost down under. It garnered, I think, 948 views with people in the Canterbury region in New Zealand, as well as the Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch regions. And some parts and bits in Australia. I mean, do you see numbers or anything coming out from a down under?
I haven't yet. My publisher hands me that information, and I haven't contacted him yet. I thought I would give it some time first for everybody to take a look at the book or take a look at that thing we did online, and hopefully then they can order the book and I can get back to get some numbers back to the publisher.
Okay, so we've been working behind the scenes together on and off, and you had enlightened me that a certain horse was in Sports Illustrated. Do you remember the name of that horse?
There was a trotter by the name of Neville Pride back in the 50s, and I found another horse. His name was Adios Harry, and he was the last pacer, last standardbred to grace the cover back in 1968. So it's been 50 years since we've had a standardbred harness horse.
And then everybody knows about Rambling Willie. Rambling Willie was on the
Ed Sullivan Show.
Okay, so we've been working behind the scenes. We're going to let everybody know internationally. We tried getting in touch with Time in New York City. I personally contacted them. And now I guess they've been sold off to a company by the name of Maven. I personally went to a bookstore and tried to research and find names and addresses and contact numbers, old school style, and we couldn't find it. So we'd like to say to Maven Publishing Company, we're going to find you, and we're going to get Love to Race in Sports Illustrated if it kills us. What do you think about that? I mean, we're gonna try our best. We're gonna try to find some more horse publications. We're gonna also introduce you to somebody who we're gonna be talking to next week. A woman by the name of Rose Cushing, today's horsewoman. Have you been in contact with her yet?
I have a little bit. Everything is just kind of getting started there, so she said she was a little busy with everything going on, and she said she definitely wanted to hear from me and hear more about my book, and so I'll be contacting her within the next few weeks, and we'll be telling her all about Derek. So
all the horsewomen out there, she basically runs the gamut, all types of breeds. She's based on in North Carolina. We'd like to give a shout out to Rose. She has no relation to Sherry Cushing, but we're going to leave you guys with this as a preemptive to next week's episode. We're going to be hanging with some cushions. But we really appreciate your time again. Is there anybody else I guess you want to give a shout out to?
Not at this time, Eric. Just you for doing all you can to get me all the coverage that you possibly can. I really appreciate it.
And for those people that know, we do this as a grassroots level. We don't get paid for anything that we do. If anybody has any references for any horsewomen or any horse people, you can email us, you can drop us a PM, or you can call us directly. We really appreciate your time once again, Amber. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
All right. We have some breaking news from Down Under. Team Teal, we've got Ella Meehan, campaign manager with Team Teal through the Women Can Organization for Ovarian Research. Ellie, you there?
I'm here. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. What time is it down in Australia, if we can ask?
It's 1 p.m., so just settling, just waiting for our lunch break.
Okay. You going to have some fish and chips, or where are you going to be in downtown Melbourne and have some grub?
Oh, there's lots of good food in Melbourne, so I've got plenty of options.
Excellent. Can you tell us briefly just what's going on, maybe just a short PSA? Team Teal started in 2010 by an organization through Women Can. There was a gentleman that started it, and can you just give us a little brief history until the current day?
Absolutely. So starting from the start, Team Teal is a campaign that was created by Duncan McPherson OAM, who lost his wife Lynn to ovarian cancer in 2010. And in failing health, Lynn and her family began fundraising for ovarian cancer research, an initiative that Duncan McPherson then connected with his passion for harness racing, co-founding Team Teal with fellow owners and trainers Michael Taranto and Jim Connolly. The campaign expanded from Victoria to New South Wales in 2016, to all Australian states in 2017, and internationally to New Zealand in 2018.
So how can people make donations? You had sent me a link which we're going to provide to people internationally. Can people set up teams? Can people make individual donations? And how can they get those donations to you if they're, I guess, coming from stateside?
So it's very easy. We've just got our website, which is www.teamteal.org.au. and there are a number of different options on the website. So there's the donate page, which I have provided, and that's just giving a straight donation to the organisation. Or you can set up a community fundraising page and then put that out to your friends and family and try and get multiple donations yourself. We also have another page where we've set up fundraising pages. So we've got 20 Rainswomen ambassadors this year from all across Australia and New Zealand, and each Rainswoman has her own fundraising page. So if you would like to personally support a specific Rainswoman who you may be following or know, then you can also do it that way.
So is it broken down by the states in, I guess, Australia and then the regions in NZ, or is it broken down by the racing commissions? How exactly is it broken down with the individual groups?
So we basically have each state in Australia, so Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia are all taking part, and they participate as a state. So every Rainswoman who wins in that state, the state harness racing body donates $200 a win, and then Tabcorp matches that and also donates $200 a win. And then New Zealand is treated as the whole of New Zealand, and they donate $100 a win over there, and that's matched by Woodland Stud giving $100 a win for any Rainsman wins in New Zealand.
So you have three different revenue streams. People can make direct donations, you have the donations by the commissions, and then you have the matching donations. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we classify it as two streams. We've either got the wins, so that's every Rainswoman who has a win across the 6 weeks of the campaign, so that's the 1st of February to the 14th of March. Any Rainswoman who wins, we have money donated to us by our partners. Then there's community fundraising, which includes things like making a donation on our website or supporting a Rainswoman or doing your own community fundraising.
Excellent. Let's talk numbers. From 2010 until the present, do you have a breakdown, I guess, of a total aggregate amount that's been raised, and then I guess the amount that was raised last year that you want to build onto this year?
So from 2010 till 2016, Team Teal existed very much as just one dinner a year. It was called Night at the Trot, and that's how it first started, and that was just in Victoria. Then from 2016 onwards, the Women's Cancer Foundation took over running everything to do with Team Teal, and they've been running Team Teal, and then we merged with the Women's Cancer Foundation a few years ago, which is how it came to us. The best thing I can say is last year's stats. So last year we had 260 Rainswomen compete across Australia and New Zealand. They ended up getting 451 wins, which raised $164,600.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Well, we look forward to publicizing everything that you do in the next 6 weeks. Hopefully we can bring some overseas money to your accounts and, I guess, make that fat and break that goal of $165,000 down under. And we look forward to working with you guys in the future basically every single year. So we wish you guys the best of luck. But next week, we're going to be talking to Mike Cushing about PSAs. But again, Ella, we appreciate your time and wish you guys the best of luck with Team Teal.
Thank you very much.
All right, so the information age is upon us. We had a great interview with Amber, but we've got another guy that had a nice interview with the alumni show with Freddie and his boys Trade and Bob. Mark, you there?
Yes, sir, I am. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. A little snowed in like everybody else. Where are you at currently?
Where was that again?
Where are you at currently? Like, we're all snowed in. Where are you at?
I live in a suburb of Chicago, and we probably got a good foot on the ground already.
Wow.
I've had a blast digging out my car all day. It's been a really good time.
Well, all the people down under are enjoying summer, but it's obviously winter up here, and we're getting lake effect snow all over the Midwest. But, Mark, what generation horse person are you?
I started going to the races right around 1974. My next door neighbor took me to Aurora Downs, and I saw my first harness race there, and it was over from there. I was hooked. I was grooming horses. When I was 16 years old in Chicago, I started working for Elsa Casoli. She was from Argentina.
Wow.
That was my first job in the business, grooming horses for her.
Wow, 16. So did they license you back then, or were you just kind of helping out like on the backside, or how did it work back then?
Oh, no, we all had licenses and everything. We had to have a groomer's license, and we even had insurance and the whole 9 yards back there.
Interesting. So how long did you work for her for?
I worked for her for a couple of years, and I worked for Mark Aubin, and I was in the business for a while, and I always wanted to go out east to the Meadowlands, and didn't know how to get out there. And then I ran into a guy named Leo Lacoste who said he was looking for a groom, and he didn't have one. And I said, well, you do now. And we went to the Meadowlands, and that was the end of that.
So you did get out to the Meadowlands then. So you were out east for a while.
Yeah, well, we took 3 horses out there, and he told, Leo Lacoste told me we would lose all 3 of them within a month. And he was right, we did. They all got claimed right away. And I wanted to stay out there, so I wanted to work for Lou Williams. That was my first job at the Meadowlands.
So, over the last maybe 10 or 15 years, people can look at a program and they can say like a 30 claimer at the Meds is worth maybe $15,000, let's say, on the Illinois circuit. Did you see that back then? Like, you can bring an Illinois bred that might be worth, 10 or 20,000 and you get maybe 40 or 50 for them? Was it like that back then?
Horses I used to ship in from Chicago used to do real well out there. I don't think they would do very well now, but back in the day they did do well out there. A lot of Chicago shipments did well.
Interesting. So where'd you go from there? Because, I've heard from different people, you've worked for Lou and Brooke and, some other trainers. Were you just bouncing around like most grooms, or did you ever become like a second trainer for people?
No, but I never was a second trainer, but I worked for some stables for a pretty long time. I worked for Lou for a couple of years, then I worked for Benny Webster, and then I worked for Bruce Nichols.
It was Bruce. Okay, so
those three trainers have probably worked for a total of about 14 years.
Did you know Brooke and I guess the next generation?
Excuse me, sir?
Did you know, Brooke Nichols and I guess, his children back then, or?
I barely knew Brooke at all.
Interesting. So do you have a preference between a pacer and a trotter? Are you more of a pacing guy or a trotting guy?
As far as betting goes, I like pacers more than trotters, but I do like watching great trotters, though, because there's just something to it, the way they move and everything, and it's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I like both. It doesn't really make a difference to me.
Very interesting. So let's come to the current day. You are just a diehard harness fan. I mean, you've just explained your history literally for the world to hear. You've been on the alumni show. You've been expressing ideas. Just recently you're saying, jokingly, I sent you a link about, the steward position open in Florida. Hey, Mark, go down to Florida and retire. Like, what do you really want to do if you had the best opportunity to get into the business? What if somebody, let's say, gave you carte blanche and said, Mark, you can do whatever you want. What would you do?
I would love to work in the publicity department for a racetrack, because I think if they hired me, I could almost guarantee you I would improve their handle, because I got a lot of good ideas, and I'm just very, very passionate, and I would like to see more done online. Some of the websites don't really show a whole lot. I can't believe that every racetrack doesn't have their programs online for free. That really bugs me, and I understand the USDA has something to do with it, but I still think it's ridiculous. But now the Meadowlands and Pompano are showing their programs for free, and they were never doing that.
Interesting. What do you think about video feeds? Not getting into that one dominant company, because I'm hearing that you look at some of these, if I can say, B tracks. Nothing against these tracks, but the quality of their video is not up to speed and not high def, digital video. Do you think all tracks across the board should be up in the information age and pay that extra money to have that high def video?
I do think they should do that, absolutely.
So you're talking digital video, digital graphics, promotions, increasing handle. I mean, why can't you just start your own show?
The sport needs to be promoted way better than it is. I mean, if you look at the driver colony, especially like at the Meadowlands and even up at the tracks up in Canada, we have some very, very good young drivers. I mean, Dexter Dunn, Tim Tiedrick, and there's just so many of them. And they're not promoted very well. Tim Tiedrick does a great job with his little thing that he does. Him and his wife do a great job online, but there's not enough of that done, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're referencing Tiedrick Racing. It's run by his wife, Ashley. They do a lot of promos. They do a lot of giveaways, what have you. They're always enticing people to come to their page. They got, I think, like tens of thousands of people liking their page. Do you think more drivers should do something like this, or more trainers, or?
I would like like to see drivers, trainers, and even grooms. There are some grooms out there that really post a lot of stuff, and it gives the fans who don't know really what goes on the backside a better view of what really happens every day out there.
So,
we have no idea what the horsemen go through on a daily basis.
You said earlier, you're not that computer savvy, but if you have the ideas and you have that crew behind you, carte blanche, what types of things would you want to do? Facebook, Twitter, what types of social media channels, or, even just bare bones old school marketing? What types of ideas or things do you think you want to bring to the table?
Just promote the sport better so the fans can get a better idea of what's going on. And a lot of racetracks, they just don't do enough, in my opinion. I just make it fan friendly, so everybody, and do interviews with drivers and trainers and things like that, so people know a little bit more about the sport. It's like an unappreciated game, and I don't know why, but it is.
So
I wish we could do better.
We talked earlier, and you're really high on, I guess, the things that people were doing up at Running Aces. You've worked with Nahu and Mike, and I guess all the people up there promoting. What's the difference, I guess, between Running Aces and some of these other tracks where you feel that there's not enough promotion? Like, what are the things that they're doing at Running Aces that's different?
They make it very fan friendly. First of all, people bring their families out there, and so the younger generation gets to see racing, and then when they get to be older, they'll take their kids to see racing. I went out there one day, and they had like 2,500 people out there, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a small track, and the place was packed, and the fans are very into it. They're very nice people out there, too, by the way. What
do you think about visits to the backside? We got this shot here with the horse. It looks like one of the upcoming queens, Angie Coleman from Illinois, I guess brought you to the backside with this horse. What did she let you do?
Oh, I just went back there, and I wasn't on the backside for a while, so I got to clean a couple stalls and bathe a horse or two. I didn't get to go on the track with anything, which is fine, but it was still fun. It brought back memories when I was grooming horses when I was a kid.
Interesting. What do you think about the movement that's happening, with Eldorado Gaming and Hoosier Park, with this movement that creating, they're saying, I think they're coining the term from the guys down south. Rashawn Trigg, says world-class racing, and now they're coining that term. Is Harrah's becoming the hub of Midwestern racing, kind of like the Meds out east?
Well, pretty much. I don't think there's any doubt about it. They've had the Breeders' Crown, I believe, 2 of the last 4 years or 2 of the last 5 years, something like that. I was at the Breeders' Crown, not this last year when they had it, but the time before, and they run a very, 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 very great operation out there. I couldn't be happier. The management there should be very proud of themselves. They did a fantastic job.
You were talking about the general manager, Rick Moore. We've had relationships with him. I think I met him in 2003. So what do you think about, I guess the media team there, and then I guess when the Grand Circuit and the Breeders' Crown races do come, Ryan Macedonio, him working with those guys, and he's trying to bring everybody up to speed and up to par with his level. What do you think about the things that Ryan's doing?
Ryan does a great job, and we need more people like Ryan out there to promote the sport like he does.
Interesting.
There's only so much we can do, but the more people that jump on board, the better it is for everybody.
So you sent us this shot here of this program. I have no idea how you got this. You must have had this in your vault or your harness racing table somewhere in your house, but it's got a horse by the name of Rambling Willie. Tell us what you think. Tell us your thoughts and feelings of this, I guess, war horse from back in the day.
Well, Rambling Willie raced back in the mid-70s, 80s, and he had 305 lifetime starts, 128 wins, I believe.
Wow.
Was driven by Robert Farrington, and I believe Dean Collins groomed him for a while.
Yes,
I'm positive Dean Collins groomed him for a while, by the way. And he's a horse that made me love the sport more than anything. Before I was able to enter the track legally, I would just jump the fence at Mayweather Sportsman and sit by somebody who had kids and blended in with them so I could watch them race.
There you go. Did you ever see that race? I had talked with Connell Willis at the Night of Champions a couple years ago. You said you keep in touch with Connell. Did you ever see that race when Connell said he raced against Rambling Willie?
Was it Taurus Bomber that raced against him?
He told me.
It probably was Taurus Bomber.
He told me that Taurus Bomber raced against Rambling Willie. Did you ever actually see that?
I The only time I ever missed a night of racing in Illinois from the years before I went to the Meadowlands is if we had one indoor race. Otherwise, I was in the grandstands every night. I never missed a night of racing ever.
Wow. So we're running out of time. Is there anybody in the industry you want to give a shout out from over the years that's helped you in the industry or educated you and I guess brought you up to the level that you're at today?
Well, the grooms are all the trainers I worked for. I learned so much from, and I had so many met so many lifetime friends being on the backside for all those years. I'm still friends with them today.
Excellent. Well, we really thank you for your time. It was all short notice. We wanted to tap into you. You've got great experience and knowledge. Where can people find you? I mean, where can people message you if they wanted to get in contact and possibly offer you a contract? I mean, who knows?
Well, should I give out my email address?
No.
Or would it be better out
No, let's keep that private. So Facebook, I guess, send him a Facebook message. If you want to get in touch with us directly at the Horseman's Voice, we can actually get in touch with Mark, and we can see if we have the permission to get his phone number and email to you. But again, Mark, we really want to thank you because next week, I'm going to tell you this, man, we're going to be hanging with some Cushings. We got a Cushion down in North Carolina. We got a Cushion that's come from the East Coast and is in Ohio. And we got the big man, Mike Cushion, out east. So until next week, that's the Horseman's Voice. Thanks again, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on.